Good morning, it's Vicky Fraser here from Moxie Books, and I just wanted to say this morning, I know how you feel. Except I don't, do I? I don't know how you feel. I can't possibly know how you feel. You don't know how I feel either. And I just wanted to talk about that a little bit this morning because it can be the kind of go-to stock response for people when they want to show empathy, when they want to show that they understand somebody. It's really easy to default to, I know how you feel. And actually, it's a really damaging thing to do. How often have you heard it? You know, we've all been on the receiving end of it. Maybe we've even said it. I know I've said it before. I used to say it. It's well-meaning, but it prevents us actually having to do the work of understanding what somebody else is going through, and that's really, really important. When we're writing a book, or when we're writing anything at all, we're trying to build a connection with the reader, right? We are trying to get them to feel something or get them to do something. We are trying to build that human connection. And we're building a dialogue and a relationship, especially when we're writing a book. And we're trying to show empathy because we will never sell anything, whether that's a product, a service, or an idea. We will never sell anything until we show our readers that we understand, or that we're trying to understand where they're coming from. And so it can be really tempting to shortcut the actual empathy and go straight for I know how you feel. But it's kind of, even though it's well-meaning, it's really hurtful. We're like, impact and not intention is the important thing here, yeah? And it cuts off our route to actual empathy, to actually putting in the work and figuring out what people are actually going through and what people are really feeling. It prevents us really listening, and it stops that dialogue. It's that kind of, oh yeah, you're listening to somebody go through a really hard time. It's like, oh, I know exactly how you feel, and it can often be an opening for the other person to kind of launch it instantly into a story of their own, and that's not helpful either. That's not listening, and it's not true. You know, even if I've been through something very similar to you, you know, almost exactly the same, I still can't know exactly how you feel, because the way I react to something is not the way you react to something, and we don't take things in context. So, you know, that's a real big problem, I think, because I've seen this a lot lately, especially with people talking a lot more about racism and Black Lives Matter, and I've seen people be like, oh well, I don't see why you should be upset by a statue of a slaver. I wouldn't be upset by that. And it's like, well, no, of course you wouldn't be upset by that, because you've never experienced that kind of oppression. And it's like, well, I wouldn't experience it, therefore you wouldn't. That kind of reaction comes right back to I know how you feel. It closes the door for actually anybody else feeling anything that's valid at all, or having an experience outside of your experience that's valid. So there's like massive wider implications that I am absolutely not qualified to talk about. But when it comes to writing a book and writing, you know, marketing copy and writing for your business and writing to connect with people, I am qualified to talk about that. And that shortcut that we can be tempted to go for, that, oh, I know that you must be feeling like this. It's like, no, you don't. I don't know that at all. So what do we do instead? What do we do instead of doing the trotting out that I know how you feel line? Okay, so there are a few things that you can do. We don't want to imply that we know how people are feeling. We definitely don't want to say it. Instead, we want to show our readers that we have been somewhere similar. You know, we have had a similar experience that we don't necessarily understand fully, but that we are trying to understand. And that's much more important. It doesn't always matter that somebody understands what you're going through. You know, I am never going to understand the struggles that people from a completely different background and from a completely different life experience from me, I'm never going to understand what they're feeling or what they're going through. But I can try, and I can listen, which is the most important thing. And I can tell stories. I can tell my own stories. I can tell other people's stories. And I can hold space for other people to tell their own stories as well, which is even more important. So I would like today, this is my writing tip for today, is just to listen. Hold the temptation, suppress the temptation to jump in and say, oh, I understand, I know how you're feeling, here's my story. Suppress that temptation and just listen. Even in your marketing, you can do that. You can tell a story and then open the door for other people to tell their stories and their experiences. In an actual conversation, we can sit and just listen to people, which is really difficult because sometimes it's uncomfortable and we're like, I'm a fixer. I like to help fix people's problems. That's not always what people want. And it's the same with marketing. It's the same with writing. People don't always want you to fix their problems. Sometimes they just want to know that you are listening and that you are living, you know, maybe a similar experience and that you are understanding. It's like sometimes it's enough to just share your story without any expectation of anything in return. that kind of thing will build a relationship much stronger. That's how you reach people. That's how you learn to write well. So that's my tip for today, and I hope you found that helpful. I hope it makes you pause next time that you're stuck for something to say and you're like, oh, I need to get a message across here. I need to make people understand that I understand. It's like, you don't always need to do that. Take that pressure off yourself. Just hold the space and listen, tell your story and then stop. And it's okay to have a call to action there, like I'm going to do right now. Are you on my email list? Are you getting my daily emails? Are you getting my regular emails? Are you finding out what I've got to say and what I've got to share? Maybe you don't want to, that's cool. But if you do want to, because my email's pretty good, they are randomly entertaining, and I talk about my tiny sheep and all sorts of things, and I tell stories and I tell other people's stories and I share stuff, and it's all good fun, then you can get on my email list at moxiebooks.co.uk. moxiebooks.co.uk, and I will see you there. And I will be back on Friday for Flamingo Friday and next week for another writing tip. Have a marvellous week.